that you had in 2024.
Just don't complain
in the
when
end,
we do it.
They voted for Trump. They voted for
Man,
Republicans.
Just don't complain when we do it. Just as we do it, just don't complain.
Man, you keep saying that we'd be upset if a Democratic president violated norms. Brother, last year, Joe Biden was asleep and Kamala Harris was at a dance party with Beyonce all year. You violated norms for the entire year, and it's one of the reasons that Donald Trump won the election. Norms were violated for 4 straight years. And yes, I didn't like it.
Oh, he's going off right now.
Political commentator Van Jones, CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings, and pollster Frank Luntz is here with me as well. I want to begin with you, Frank, here. I'm going to favor you because you're sitting right next to me. You teach at West Point. How will the firing of General C.Q. Brown, how is that going to sit with cadets and other military leaders?
So you know that because I teach at West Point, there's no politics. There's no partisanship. I'm on CNN, so I want to answer your question directly, but I know what's appropriate and what isn't. And the great thing about West Point, the cadets know what their job is. They know how to focus on the skills that the military requires of them. They know how to keep the politics out and how to respect the Constitution. So with all due respect, I'm going to duck it, but I will tell the American people who are watching that they can have full confidence in these young men and women to do the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, what they teach them, do the hard right rather than the easy wrong, and they teach them effectively there.
I'll let you duck it.
So if you guys don't know what West Point is, I'm an engineer, and I actually went to a conference one time where my school competed in the same, it was like an ethics debate competition versus West Point. They were there. West Point is a military academy that focuses on producing Army recruits practically. West Point has some of the hardest requirements, and at a school like West Point, where it is an Army school, there isn't any politics necessarily. There's nothing up for debate. You do what they say, point blank period. You train when they tell you to train. You go to the classes they tell you to go to class for. You do what you have to do. And also, West Point produces some of the highest achieving students in the world of STEM. And all the military academies produce pretty high achieving students. So that's why he said there's no politics there, and he teaches there. It's pretty cool. But let's continue.
Van, not you. Van, what's your reaction to the firing?
It's very disturbing. I expect my conservative friends to agree with me that if you're going to break this kind of precedent, of course, Donald Trump said he's going to shake up the soda bottle, so you can say, well, anything Donald Trump does, we can't complain about it. We just have to take it because he said he was going to do it on the campaign trail. That's not how a democratic republic works. It's not how a constitutional republic works. There are traditions, there are norms. If you're going to break with this norm and have a purge, that's what it looks like. If the different countries is a purge of the top military, you want to identify what did that general do that was inappropriate. What was the scandal? What was the bad hire? And there is literally nothing. I've been looking all day, calling around, and it's basically just this slander that he's woke in DEI. Well, if you are the head of a military that is multiracial and multicultural and you want it to be cohesive, you need to have policies in place to help that happen. If they're good policies or bad policies, but just the fact that he apparently, his only crime for have this level of a break with 200 years of tradition is that he's quote unquote woke. That's very scary, because what that means is this could be a pretext. And it could be that Trump just wants to put generals in place that will do what he says, right or wrong, and not do what Mr. Luntz was talking about, these cadets doing the hard right and not the easy wrong. It's very disturbing. I can't find a good reason for breaking with this type of precedent, and conservatives usually want to conserve tradition. So I'm looking forward to hearing my conservative friends speak out.
Scott, our conservative friend, speak out.
Yeah, I'll give you a good reason, because this person serves at the pleasure of the president. This is the principal military advisor to the president. And I don't, Van, necessarily think he had to have done anything wrong or had to have had a scandal or have any kind of mark against him at all. It's just that the president wants to have the most confidence in his principal military advisor. Obviously, he wants to pick somebody else. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that, because under our Constitution, we have a civilian-led military, and the president is the commander-in-chief, and he should have the principal military advisor that he wants. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with General Brown. I think he has served this country honorably. I think he's a good man. And you might remember back in the first Trump term, he was promoted and nominated to be the head of the Air Force by Donald Trump. So obviously Trump has liked him in the past and thinks he's had an amazing career, and he even put out a positive statement about him tonight.
And it's kind of sad because we've turned this entire debate into a Donald Trump is racist debate. Donald Trump fired him because he's a black man. Donald Trump hired him. Did he hire him because he's a black man? And the reason I bring that up is because no one ever talks about the other side of the coin when they say things like this. If you say things like, oh, he was fired because he was black. She was fired because she's a woman. That's the only reason they were fired. They deserve this. How could you get mad when other people say, oh, you got hired because you were black. You only got in this position because you were a woman. And I'm not saying both sides are wrong, but I'm saying that they're different sides of the same coin. Donald Trump fired him because Donald Trump wanted to appoint his own people. That's what it is. Every president fires and hires who they want to, especially in top positions like this. It usually happens with every single presidency. I'm going to be honest. Whether or not, I don't think he got fired because of his race, especially considering he was hired by Trump, but there could have been things that he did during his administration that Donald Trump didn't like. I don't know. I don't know what he did during his administration because we're talking about his race. We're not talking about the policies he stood for. It's always about race. Always.
But at the end of the day, this is a position that serves at the pleasure of the president. The president's Donald Trump, and he deserves to have the top advisors that he wants and that he has the most confidence in.
Frank, does it ring differently for voters on these issues when it's, yes, there are many people in the cabinet who serve at the pleasure of the president. Does it ring differently to voters when it's members of the military? Is there a different appetite for having a concrete, tangible, why him?
So you actually are correct, because the military is the most trusted institution in the country right now. And soldiers are the most trusted profession. And in fact, number one is soldiers. At the very bottom, 22nd, are politicians. So the soldiers have tremendous credibility. The public is asking, how do we get the best? And that's what they're looking for. How do we get people who have a keen understanding of the challenges that we face, who understand that decisions they're making are going to affect the country now and in the future? And third, is this someone who understands what sacrifice really means? This is a very serious decision, and I'm hoping the president's going to say more about it. But Scott is right. In the end, the generals, the admirals, the people in the military serve at the pleasure of the president, and it's always under civilian control, not under military control.
Well, I'm asking you this question on this, Van, because when you look at the criteria laid out just now by Frank and the type of trust the American people want to have, say, in the military, they have that same requirement and trust that they want for people who are going to be in a position of authority over their livelihoods, over how their federal government agencies are run, over their ability to retain their employment. I mean, Republican lawmakers, they're home this week. There's backlash against the DOJ cuts, and that backlash seems quite tangible. Does that impact, and should it impact the White House at all?
Well, it should. I mean, but there are two different issues here. No one is saying that Donald Trump doesn't have the right to break 200 years of precedent and fire the top general for no reason at all. He has a right to do it. I'm saying it's not right to do it. You have all kinds of norms. Our founders talked about what they call Republican virtues, not Republican and Democrat, that didn't exist, but the virtues that let you keep a republic together. And when you have a purge, a military purge, that is a very big deal. The president has the right to do it, yes, but this never happened before. And where all the other presidents just didn't want to have good generals. So, and nobody can tell me what's wrong with America's military. What is wrong with America's military? We have the most lethal military in the world. It's the most respected in the world. It's better than anybody else's by far. What's wrong with it? Except that Donald Trump doesn't like some generals and keeps making these DEI claims. Now, what you're asking about is DOJ. And what you're asking about is Elon Musk role, which I think is also terrifying. What if we had a President AOC? And she went in there and said, I'm just going to bring in all my friends with their laptops, and they're going to do whatever they want to, and nobody can tell me anything about it. I think Republicans would be literally in the streets. I think that for the first time, you would see Republicans in the streets if a Democratic president were to go in there and have someone who's never been vetted, someone who's never passed the back. When I worked in the White House, I had a background check after background check. He's gone in there with a bunch of kids with laptops. So this is all stuff that I don't understand. Constitutional conservatives who know how this is supposed to work, like the ends I might like some of the ends. I'd like to see less waste, fraud, and abuse. But you've got to pay attention to the process. If you now say it's okay for one to do it, do not complain in 4 years when a Democrat comes in there and does it.
But you're not talking about the actual results. You're talking about the process on the way he's doing things. You're not actually saying, oh, is this the right thing to do? Is this effective? Will this make the country better? I think that would be a much more productive conversation. Because when you say, oh, the process on when he does things is wrong, the process of how he's doing it is wrong, no other president has done this. Who are you winning over? Who are you trying to convince that it's a wrong thing? What you should be saying, if it was really wrong, is that this won't make America better. Statistically showing this is wrong because this stat shows this, and this will bring productivity down because of X, Y, and Z. That's what you should be saying, but you're not even mentioning that. Will this affect productivity? Will this make our country worse? Is this the right thing to do? Should they be fired because they weren't doing anything? That's the stuff that you should be discussing and talking over, because you're not winning anyone over by saying that the process is wrong. His supporters don't care that the process is wrong. They voted for him because Donald Trump has done a lot of things that were unorthodox. They don't care if he's not following the rule book. I'm going to just keep it a buck. They care on if it will be effective or if it won't be effective. And that's the approach that you need to be speaking from.
We want to live this way. I like the American way of government. I like truth, justice, in the American way, not the Elon Musk way.
I want to turn to the people who are asking questions about it, because, on this program, we turn to the audience and ask what questions they have. They have every right to have a seat at this particular table. And it's time for what we call America Asks. We have questions from our viewers, and one of them is from Stacy from Virginia. And she asks, I'm curious about all this money Trump and Musk are supposedly saving Americans. Where is it going to go? Scott, what's your reaction?
I'll answer that question because it's a good one. But if I may respond to Van briefly, I just have a different view about what Donald Trump is doing. And, you keep using the phrase constitutional conservatives. My view of the Constitution is very simple. All executive authority is vested in a president of the United States. The political oversight of our government is elected by the people and is the president. He should have the latitude to run the government. And I feel like because Donald Trump's the president and you all don't like him, that somehow the bureaucracy or the military or other institutions should be able to act somewhat independently of him or not be subjected to the same political oversight. So I think he's engaging in executive authority that the Constitution gives him to.
If Obama did this, I would be more outraged because I believe Obama understands our Constitution. I'm not picking on Donald Trump because he's Donald Trump. If any American president did this, these are unprecedented moves. Congress is supposed to tell you what agencies are there in the budget. He's telling you, I'm going to make it up myself. It's unprecedented. You can't say that any president's done this before. And so if Obama did this, I would be even. If Obama did this, I would be even more outraged.
Sure, Frank. And then we're going to answer Stacey's question after this. But hold on, Frank. Answer your note too. Go ahead.
I'm not speaking in terms of either constitutional or conservative. The American people think Washington spends too much, that it wastes too much. They now believe that Washington is corrupt. And it's a very simple process. The public is not asking, they are demanding. They cannot afford to pay the taxes they're being asked to pay. They can't afford the inflation and the costs and the affordability. And they're saying Washington needs to spend less so the American people can have more.
Pass a bill. Pass a bill, have the president sign it. That's our system. Pass a bill with your
Let me
party
tell you something.
And let the president sign it.
Do you want to understand why Harris lost the election? The public didn't want to wait anymore. So your point is well taken about the Constitution, but the American people are fed up. They're angry as hell. They want Washington to change. And the reason why Trump is more popular today than he was even during the election, he's at the height of his popularity, whether we agree with it or not, because they want action.
They
want results.
Authoritarians
and they're
are popular.
tired of waiting. This is not authoritarian.
It's authoritarian.
I can't hear both of you. Van, go ahead.
Hold on a second. I understand people are upset. My people are upset too. But if we had a president a Democratic president who ran over these norms, you would be upset. And I agree with some of the ends. But when you have both parties, you have both houses of Congress, go to Congress, pass a bill, have the president sign it, have the courts approve it. That is our system. just because people are upset doesn't mean that the Constitution and our norms should go in the garbage can. You have the ability, you have all the power to do it the right way, instead you want to do it the wrong way.
Wait, what am I hearing from Stacy? You didn't answer my question? I know, Stacy. Fellas, here was her question again. Her question is, where is the money going to go? Scott?
Yeah. So there's two ideas on the table. One, which was proposed by Elon Musk, that there would be some sort of a Doge dividend where the savings from this effort would go back as a rebate to the American people. The other idea, which I actually think is a better idea, is to take the savings and let's pay down the debt. I mean, I think what Frank was saying is correct. We're living under this massive debt. We're spending more than we should spend. The American people are tired of waiting. And so to me, the beauty of the Doge effort is we're reducing the waste, eliminating wasteful spending out of government. I don't know that it makes sense to necessarily turn it right back around. We could pay down the debt with it. We could just have a smaller government. And so that way we're actually spending less, which I think ultimately is a goal of the American people.
They should do both, by the way, in the end. Give the people something back and pay down the debt with the rest of it. At some point, Van, and I know you're upset about the process. By the way, I hear you about that. At some point, you have to listen to what the voters are demanding, or you're going to have the same reaction in 2026 that you had in 2024.
Just don't complain when we do it.
They voted for Trump. They voted for Republicans.
Just don't complain when we do it. Just we do it. Just don't complain.
Dan, you keep saying that we'd be upset if a Democratic president violated norms. Brother, last year, Joe Biden was asleep and Kamala Harris was at a dance party with Beyonce all year. You violated norms for the entire year, and it's one of the reasons that Donald Trump won the election. Norms were violated for 4 straight years. And yes, I didn't like it. But Donald Trump,
he's going off right now,
in my opinion, is not exceeding his authority under the Constitution with this violence.
Listen, nobody's been more critical of my party than I have. And what I'm telling you is there is a lie that's being sold to the American people that because people are upset and because Biden didn't do a great job, that Trump can do whatever he wants to. And that is you go over that edge, you're in a different country. And we don't want to be in a different country. He can do everything he wants to do lawfully and within our norms, immediately, aggressively. He's choosing to do it the wrong way, and we will pay a price for it as a country if it continues.
Nah, he went off. He snapped it in. This was a good debate. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with Scott Jennings or Frank Luntz, or if you agree with don't know his name, Van Jones, I think. Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, this is LFR JoJo, and I'll see you guys in the next one.